What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Victory Life Legacy Spotlight. Today, I have my former teammate and legendary safety, receiver, running back, kick returner, punt returner, Sean Hamlet, the former Hampton High and Florida State standout safety, athlete, national champion, one of my favorite players to ever play with. Just remarkable person, remarkable athlete, man. Sean, I'm glad to have you on the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. Appreciate you having me. You're doing big things with this, man, bringing a light on, Virginia athletics, all the way from the high school to the college level. When I went down to Florida, came down to Florida, because I'm still here, I used to tell everybody, man, athletes in Virginia,
Yes.
this is kind of putting a spotlight on, what's in just the state itself. So, man, you're doing a great job, brother. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it, man. And you were my big bro. I was 2 years behind you. I was fortunate to play 2 years with you on varsity. And I just remember my freshman year, I was a backup to Big Gene and Kavanaugh. And I remember
Hmm.
seeing you wearing number 9 and just, returning kicks and catching passes. You probably, and I played, like you on the collegiate level, had a little bit of a, pro career. But to this day, man, you remain one of the most versatile athletes, not only in football, but you ran track for Coach Hamilton. You also
Yep.
played for Coach Brower, the legendary Coach Walter Brower, and played with some great athletes on the basketball team. But before we talk about your illustrious high school and pro career and your post-pro career, let's talk about where it all started. You mentioned growing up in VA, and it's well
Right.
documented. It's well documented. VA has some of the greatest athletes in the history of high school sports and beyond. You were part of that golden era of the Tidewater Peninsula District sports, and you had a remarkable career. A lot of times when you see the 30 for 30s on Allen Iverson, and I've interviewed Tony Rutland and Damon Bako, Marseille Brown, the Abraham family, everybody talks about where it all started for them, and it was in youth sports, and they had mentors, different people for different players. Who were some of the people that got you
Hmm.
started, and where did you get started at? What youth league?
Well, the main person who got me started was Tommy Riemann. So I grew up in Newport News, playing at Dora Miller, downtown Newport News. But Tommy Riemann, he made it.
Yeah,
He went off and played pro, came back, bought his mama a house, had a Cadillac. He was everything that, we as little kids wanted to get to.
yeah,
But one thing he did was when he came back, man, he came back as a coach and invested a lot of time. He invested a lot of time in me. You know what I'm saying? Like I would meet him out at Booker T. Washington, and it would just be me and him, throwing the football, seeing how can I get better. Then moving over to basketball, of course, everybody knows Boo Williams. So, I mean, I played Boo Williams Summer League since I was able to walk, and then being down in the boys club. So it really started to me. Newport News, man, was so great because we had so many kids around, you know what I'm saying? So we were in the house playing video games. We was outside.
yeah.
Our mama had to make us come in the house when the street lights came on. Other than that, man, we always could find a pickup game. We have played. It don't have to be 11-on-11 football. It could be 5-on-5. You just gonna, hey, you just gonna be doing a lot of running. You know what I'm saying? It could be 5-on-5, 2-on-2 basketball. We don't need. It could be 1-on-1. Speaking of my little cousin, it's so funny when we growing up, and my grandma's was like the meeting place, right? And
Hmm.
my cousin was younger than I was, so to make things fair, we would play 1-on-1 football. I would get on my knees, and his job was to score a touchdown. My job was to destroy him.
Really?
So yeah, oh yeah, I was because he was smaller. You know what I'm saying? I was a little bit bigger and I was older. So to make it fair, I would get on my knees and have to cover a lot of ground. His job was to score. He didn't score a lot, but I could tell, and he was like my little brother. Also, I know we'll probably get into talking about Armand a little bit later, but it was like my little brother, man. But it was just a blessing to be in that area down at Chris Watson, down in Newport News. Um, I had Anthony Watson. It was a bunch of Watsons down there. So just growing up, Antonio Banks, went to Virginia Tech,
Yes.
still a good friend of mine today. He's IMG Academy now, a coach. But man, we've talked like through our college careers. He went on to play for the Vikings through coaching career. We kind of always just been connected. Even though Coach Smith didn't let me play against them my senior year because I didn't practice because I twisted my ankle, right? So the
I remember
top
that.
game, yeah, we about to play Antonio Banks, Killer, all the
Yep.
boys out there for Warwick, Mario Gaskins, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, and I didn't practice. We talking about practice. I always tell people that too. That's so funny. Man, we talking about practice all week so I can play in the game. You know what I'm saying? We talking about a twisted ankle. I'm up there. Hey, Woodrow Wilson. I'm gonna talk about Woodrow a little bit too later, but that's who really got me involved in football and in Florida State. Woodrow Wilson taught me everything I know about football. I'm gonna talk about him a little bit later. My mom and Woodrow, they got me in the tub upstairs in my house on New York Avenue off Shell Road in an ice bath. I ain't know nothing about ice baths back then. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get my ankle right to play. We get to the game, I'm on the bench. I'm like, oh, okay.
Was that the game? Was that the game we had to come back and win 13-10?
Yeah.
Yes.
We almost lost.
I remember we almost lost. I started left tackle, and I remember Banks got an interception, ran it out of bounds, and I elbowed him in the face. And
AB is a man child.
Hey, and he laughed at me then, and we still talk about it now. And to this day, he swears on that kickoff return that we cheated. He didn't step out of bounds. Antonio swear he never stepped out of bounds.
AB was a man child. He's the only person in high school that had muscles. That cat used to be ripped up. I was like, man, what is going on? We out here in 9th grade. This is a grown man about to run against in 100. Where you come from? You know what I'm saying? Nobody dunking in the 7th grade. He couldn't shoot, but he could dunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, well, AB, that's my cat though, man.
Oh,
He's
man.
Good people.
Yes, he is, man. I love him. I love all those guys. William Yarbrough, aka Killer.
Yeah.
So one thing, man, people don't realize, and it's funny you mentioned Newport News, man. Newport News always had talented athletes. The Peninsula area, Hampton, Newport News had that city rivalry because of all the athletes on both sides of the city. How did you end up getting to Hampton? Because you were a Newport News guy, played in the leagues.
I went to Menchfield.
Mm-hmm.
My freshman year, I played Menchfield, played on JV, and then I wanted a scholarship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Hampton High had, an illustrious history. Eric Hunter. Every time you look around, them cats in playing for the state championship. Menchfield wasn't playing for the state championship like that.
Mm-hmm.
So my uncle Adolph Hawkins was like, "Hey man, you probably need to go to another high school. Score some touchdowns over there, get your scholarship." That was the key, getting a scholarship. And having opportunity. To get to go to a D1, to go experience life. Because college is great, man. You experienced it too. So, it's just like, my mom actually already lived in Hampton. So I lived on 36th Street, but a block away was the line,
Yep.
So it was like right there was Hampton. So I didn't really have to go nowhere. I was still 5 minutes away from my grandma's house. I was with every day. I just, wanted to stay with my mom. At the time, she, it was just me and her, and she moved out, but I wanted to stay in Newport News with all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
But they was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go over here and play football for Hampton High, and see if I can get a scholarship, man. Eric Hunter went to Purdue. I was like, okay, it's over. Purdue? What's that? He ain't go to, everybody go to Virginia Tech. Hey, I got much love for Virginia Tech. Don't get me wrong. I got a lot of teammates. I got a lot of friends that came out of those schools. They are great universities, but I wanted to know about more. Back then we were getting recruited by Virginia Tech, and Penn State.
Yep.
That's where David Macklin went to Penn State.
Yep.
So those are the only schools kind of we were getting attention. Syracuse. Nobody want to go play inside and lose all the time. What is that? Hey, unless you're going out to play basketball, you don't go way up there. It's cold, play indoors, and lose. Everybody.
Oh my goodness. Man, just talking to you, man, it's been too long. I know we chop it up on Facebook, man, but it's a blessing to talk to you, man, because the laughter you had me going. I remember being a freshman and a sophomore the 2 years we played varsity together. And you in the back of the bus after games, and even during practice, man, you had a swag and a confidence, man. I know we're going to talk about Ahmad a little later, man, but we talked about the legacy that you had along with Eric Hunter wearing number 9 and how you had that swag. You had the uniform. I mean, back then we had the arm pads, but you had that little, before Under Armour, that gray bodysuit. That had the bodysuit you put on. You put the pads on. And you had, you and Chuck, aka Allen Iverson, y'all made y'all uniforms look real sweet. Where did you get your confidence and swag? Is that just you, or is that something your uncle gave
from
you?
My family, from my uncle Adolph? He was a great athlete in himself. My father was a great athlete at Hampton High. I mean, we just had a real confident family. And you know what? Getting to these games and playing high school, man, I had already scored those touchdowns in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Down the street. I already ran a 100-yard interception. You know what I'm saying? We might have had jeans on and tennis shoes, but everything we did on the football field kind of translated from what we had learned, growing up. And funny you say about bus rides. I got a good story about my senior year, right? So we played Green Run.
I remember that.
Right. And Coach Smith got mad at me because I wouldn't go on the first bus. And I ain't believe in first team, first bus. Look, we all going to the same place, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ride on. Okay, I'll just get on the second team bus. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's like if the first team bus don't get there, I was like, who cares? He was mad with me, boy. So I had to go out and run a 100-yard kickoff back.
I remember that.
Shut him up. Hey, listen, what you gonna do? What if I didn't get on the bus at all? We'd be 7 more points down. So, you know what I'm saying? So that was it. I mean, it was a great experience, man. Coach Smith, he is a great coach. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes we didn't see eye to eye, but I think at the end of the day, we wanted the same thing. We wanted to win. You know, I remember losing to Woodrow Wilson 13-12 in the daggone snow. That was off our junior year. So we were up 12-0. Everybody was talking about going to the hotel rooms, hanging out.
Oh, we lost to Garfield in the state championship.
Was it Garfield or
it was
Woodrow
Garfield?
Wilson?
It was Garfield the previous week we had just beat Annandale in the state semifinal game, 30-8. Reggie Pittman scored, Mario scored. You ended up going to the game playing backup quarterback. They had a stud running back named Miller that went to UCLA. We shut him down. We up 12-0 against Garfield. First ever state championship at Dodger Stadium. And
in the snow.
In the snow, which everybody thought the game was going to be called. Ended up losing 13-12.
We shut it down. 12-0 at half. Man, everybody talking about what they going to do after. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, they came out. We couldn't do anything. They ran the ball down our throat. Next thing you know, it's over.
Yep.
Like, damn.
Yeah.
Ain't no state championship for me. I lost one in basketball. I lost one in football. You got Ronald Curry, Ahmad, all them cats, man. They winning left and right.
Yeah.
National championships. Yeah. Man, God, I couldn't get one.
What do you remember, man, though, besides like when you look back on that the Hampton High war, you mentioned all the battles with the Newport News guys.
Right.
What do you remember most about those Friday night lights and even those Saturday afternoons playing in Darling and Todd Stadium, the 757?
You know what? I remember how much fun we had, right? Because we hung out together in the school, out of school. I mean, I pretty much lived at Shelley Ellison's house, you know, with Myron Newsom. You know, we all lived right on Shell Road. Aaron Mundy lived 2 houses down, my big brother. You know, so it's kind of like we were just a family, man. It's kind of the same thing when I got to Florida State. You know, we played for each other. On our team, we knew we were going to go out and win, and we played for each other. We wouldn't, if somebody was having a bad game, another person just picks it up. You know what I'm saying? Keep it Fred. I can't forget about the quarterback, Fred Brown. But, you know, I think we just cared about each other, man. It was a close-knit family community on Shell Road. You know, everybody knows about Shell Road.
It was. Yeah. Do you think I know you went to Hampton and Coach Hawkins, your uncle told you about the scholarship and you knew about Eric Hunter. You know, a lot of guys I've interviewed on these Victory Life Legacy Spotlights, from Damon to so many great players, Shonda Bailey, many of them said they were just playing and happy to be part of a great era. Did you know at that time? I know you knew you were good, but did you know that, man, I really have a chance to go on to the next level? Like, when did it hit you that, okay, you know, your first offers and I'm going to go here? Like, when did it start happening when you're like, you know what, I'm having a great time, but I see myself playing at the next level?
Well, probably my junior year, because I think I had 12 or 13 interceptions. So that's kind of when all the letters of interest came in. And I was like, man, I actually can go to college. You know, it doesn't have to be in the state of Virginia. I kind of can go anywhere I want to. You know, and that kind of fast forward to Florida State. Florida State wasn't recruiting Virginia. When I went down to Virginia, I was the only person there. Florida State, Miami, 85% of the team was from Florida. 80% of the team was from Miami. You know what I'm saying? Because they playing football year round. I'm like, y'all playing in the spring? Man, I'm running track in the morning, playing baseball in the afternoon. What y'all talking about? Spring ball, jamborees. I said, man, we play football all year round. I said, okay, so that's why y'all a little bit, you know, ahead of the curve. You know, so, you know, I thought, man, that's going to my decision to go down there. I was like, look, they say all the best football players in Florida, Texas, and California at the time. You know, that's where everybody, by sheer population, they should be. You know, I mean, they got a gazillion football players and they got great weather, you know, so they playing year round. So, you know, I was like, man, let me go get in this mix and put the VA on the map.
No doubt. And you did, man. And we're going to talk about Florida State in a second, because I have such euphoric memories, man, just seeing you out there, number 18, man, smacking cats, the Florida State game tie. I remember all of that, but I don't want to get into that yet, man. You mentioned.
I jump around, so that's my bad. I jump around. Hey, whatever come to my mind is what we're gonna talk about. I'm sorry if you got a script. I apologize, because we're probably not gonna follow it tonight.
No, it ain't no script, man. This is just us topping it up. This is your legacy spotlight. But I do want to ask you, I want to go back to Hampton High because you mentioned a phenomenal coach who I've never felt got enough credit. And you mentioned Coach Woodrow Wilson. Coach Smith gets a lot of credit because he's the head coach. That's the way it works, like the quarterback. But at the same time, especially during that golden era, the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, his staff was exceptional. You had Coach Smith and Coach Mitchell. You had Gumpton, Gilliam, and you had Woodrow. And you mentioned all those interceptions. You know, you were there in the back end, Tar Cassell's. You guys were just a great defensive backfield. What did he teach you that made you so insightful and know how to play the ball and just get all those interceptions and turn them into touchdowns and make plays on the ball?
Well, yeah, well, you say, Coach Smith was a great coach, but all great coaches have great assistants. So that was the key. The key with Woodrow and Coach Gup and those guys, they played. They played at Hampton High. Then they went on to NC State. They played D1. Then they knew what it took to get there. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're having your average coach. You just running through drills. Nah, they was running me through drills like I was already D1. You know what I'm saying? They was taking me to the weight room, not at Hampton High. I was going to Bally's down the street, lifting weights. You know what I'm saying? Coach Hamlet used to be in there too. But I used to go down to Bally's and train. So, we go to the field and we work on different drills. Not because high school football, man, you can be real talented in high school, right? You get to college, man, it's a whole different ball game because it's a different set of rules, a different skill set you have to have. So Woodrow and them, man, they gave me that skill set, in high school. Woodrow's like, hey, man, you need to look at this. You need to learn how to read these guards. You know what I'm saying? You need to look at their fingers. They real red, they coming downhill. That's all their weight at, all their blood going. You know what I'm saying? Reading that triangle in there. So that stuff I was already learning, what I'm saying, in high school.
Yeah, no.
That was a good part about it, though. But they were on the player side. You know what I'm saying? They get into it with Coach Smith all the time.
Yeah.
But in the day, you know what I'm saying? Coach Smith, he'd be like, hey, listen, he just wanted to win. And he was stubborn, but he know those boys know what they were talking about.
He did. And they did. I still credit Coach Gupton and Gilliam, man. Those guys, Coach Mitchell, they just knew, man. No, they were, and they were great. And you also mentioned Florida State. You chose Florida State, but obviously you were talented. I played with you 2 years. I saw you play with you. You played both sides. How did it end up being Florida State? Because you had other offers. Banks, your boy, was going to Tech. Y'all were close. Were they in the mix? UVA, they had Aaron Mundy and Sean Moore, Terry Kirby, Herman Moore.
Yep. TK is that's my guy I used to look up to right there.
Yeah.
Mundy's my big brother, but before I could try to tell people, before it was Allen Iverson, before there was a Ronald Curry, there was TK.
Yes.
Terry Kirby. People used to come from miles around. I can remember Shelly's dad taking us to see Terry Kirby. It was people lined up from miles around to see Terry Kirby run the ball 50 times. Because that's all they did.
Yeah.
Terry Kirby right, Terry Kirby left. Then you had Chris Slade on the defensive side. You know what I'm saying? Out of Tab High School, small Tab, but you had I think he was a parade All-American in football.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I think I want to see him play the Russians or somebody in the Coliseum back in the day. I forgot who it was, but Terry Kirby. Yeah, what were we talking about again? I get off base. You got me start talking about TK.
No. Terry Kirby was in the spotlight. No, this is.
Oh, and he had that orange bandana. Before bandanas was fashionable, So everybody see Dion with the bandana on. The first person I saw the bandana was Terry Kirby, and it was orange.
What about? No, I was asking who were your top 5, top 10? I mean, you mentioned Florida State, and I remember thinking, man, I was behind you, so my time was up next. But I was thinking, Florida State, man, I'm going to Florida. At the most, I think you had Todd Kelly and James Wilson went to Tennessee. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, Florida State.
To Tennessee.
I remember when Bowden them came down. Like, what was it like, man? Like, how did it end up?
Well,
was anybody else in the mix?
Yeah, I took 3 visits. Well, I don't count Virginia because I was there all the time. Because Monday played there, so I used to go there all the games, be in the locker room with the guys. So it's like, man, I'm gonna visit a place I already been. Let me go somewhere different. So I went to Virginia Tech, and I went to Florida and Florida State. So it was really between Florida and Florida State for me. I was like, man, they say all this football down in Florida, and Florida State was up and coming. Florida at the time had Steve Spurrier. They were really good, but it's just when I got to Florida State, man, Devin Bush was my host because Devin Bush came in, Derek Alexander, Brooks, and Tyron Marion. They were all class of 91. I was 92. So but a couple of them red-shirted, so we all end up playing together. So man, it was just a brotherhood, man. I went down there. It was a great time. I liked the atmosphere. It was just like being back in Hampton, Newport News. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was cool, and we just kind of kicked it. Went to Florida. Florida was cool too. Nothing wrong. But Steve Spurrier told me, hey, you need to sign right now, or that's it. So I was like, Coach, I still got to go up to Tallahassee. He said, you don't want to go up there. And it's so funny. Ron Zook at that time was the defensive coordinator, so he was recruiting me to play Gatorback or something. I think Ben Hanks ended up playing that for a couple of years. But that was the last I heard of Steve Spurrier. I was like, I'm going up there to Tallahassee. Coach, he said, okay. Ain't no reason for us to talk again. So I guess you're right. And then Coach Bowden, man, like a father figure, man. And Coach Bowden coaches had been there for 20, 30 years. And then Woodrow told me, he said, man, you go here, Coach Amato is gonna take care of you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have nothing to worry about. He got you. You're gonna have a fair shot, a fair shake at everything coming from Virginia. Because when Coach Amato came to my house to visit me, he probably talked to me for 10 minutes, but him and Woodrow and Coach Gupton, they talk about old times. I'm just an innocent bystander. I'm just, what I'm saying? But I'm just soaking up the knowledge. And I'm like, damn, this is how it is right here. This cat coached them a while ago, but they still got that connection. I could just see in their eyes how they respected him. And Coach Amato was always good to me, man. I love that cat. That's man. Between him and Mickey Andrews, them my guys. Of course, Coach Bowden. Between Mickey Andrews and Coach Amato, man, them my guys right there.
Some great some great coaches, some great names, man.
Yeah.
Do you think before we talk about your Florida State legacy, Sean, do you think playing for Coach Smith, Woodrow, and then you also played for Coach Brower, you were around Coach Hamilton, you ran track for him. Those are 3 Hall of Fame coaches, right? Do you think that mindset, especially guys like Coach Hamilton, and playing with all those guys on the basketball court, you played against Grant Hill. You saw the clip I posted the other day. You played with Gannon Baker and all those guys, Jermaine Golson, Hampton High, you and all those great players, Fred, and then you get to Florida State. In a lot of ways, also you played against Iverson and all the guys at Kickertan and Ferguson and Aaron Brooks. Do you feel like that time in those different sports in the Peninsula District and even going across the bridge to the South Side prepared you to the point when you got to Florida, being an outsider, you weren't afraid or timid?
Right. Well, I was already mentally tough because, like you said, all those coaches were great, but those coaches were getting your ass at the end of the day. They'll tell you exactly, man, Woodrow used to cuss me out so much. I'm like, man, do I really want to do this? With all Coach Brown, everybody know Coach Brown historically just curses.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, but they always, that's the thing about it, it was tough love, right? So I know they cared about their kids. They cared about us as players, but they also wanted us to be great citizens and great men. So the message was, hey man, you either get yourself together or you get a foot up your ass. That's just kind of how it was. So, and then going to Florida State, I already getting beat up mentally in high school. So I'm like, what y'all gonna do to me? There ain't nothing been done. I'm just here to play football. So yeah, the mental toughness that I think, just being, just in that environment was it was good for me. Some people can't take that. I mean, for me, it keeps me straight, keeps me going. And then at the end of the day, man, I don't want to let my coach down. That's what a lot of people, I don't want to let my coach down. I don't want to let my teammates down. So I'm just going to try to leave it all on the field, whether it be the basketball court, football field, whatever the case is.
Yeah, man. And I remember still being at Hampton High, and, now I'm a junior, my junior and senior year. Now I'm up next and I'm getting letters, man. But I remember, and I never told you this, but my dad knows this and my mom. I remember like keeping track of when Florida, I wasn't even a Florida State fan. I remember keeping track and following you, even when I was at Tech and I was redshirting and you were still playing on your last few years, trying to make sure I caught every game you played in. And I remember the crazy game when y'all tied against Florida. I remember the Miami-Florida State game was the rivalry, better than Ohio State, Michigan, better than Auburn, Alabama, because those teams weren't, you and the Canes were the premier programs.
Right.
And you talking about talent, dude, on the field. You talking about legendary games that when it comes on now, even though I know the outcome, I'm going to sit down and watch it. I may be late for a meeting. Man, what was it like, man? Like, I mean, you can't go back, but you got to, it had to be something special to be playing with Derek Brooks, Charlie Ward. I mean, talk about, I know it's so many questions I'm asking at once, but I get excited. I get excited thinking about it, man. Like, how was it even playing? You went from a legend locally, a Virginia, a VHSL legend, and Coach Smith, and then Broward, Hamilton. But now you playing for, to this day, you got Paterno and
Coach
Bowden.
Bowden.
How was it, man?
Man, it was great. I wouldn't trade the experience I had at Florida State for anything. Like I said, the friendships forged and the people, but everybody's so, cool as the brotherhood. Like Derrick Brooks in the Hall of Fame, right? When we talk about stuff we did as sophomores. You know what I'm saying? Like we just chop it up, see what's going on. I played Florida. It's so funny. I see these cats might see Riedel Anthony on the golf course somewhere, or Willie Jackson. Willie Jackson was my host when I went down there. So it's kind of like, I played Florida so many times that we just knew each other. You know what I'm saying? Like we knew what to expect. The coach knew what to expect from us. At the end of the day, it was going to come down to 1 or 2 plays. Even though sometimes we had better teams than they did. They had better teams than we did. Same thing with Miami, because you got to realize everybody on my team, they played with somebody from Florida and Miami, right? So all played against them in high school. So that bragging rights, from Miami all the way up to Gainesville, all the way over to the Tampa area, they've been seeing each other all their life. They played Pee Wee football together. So, it's like me inviting them to that rivalry. It's like us, it's like Hampton and Phoebus.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, I see that electricity. Kicking tan is like just playing the Tidewater. It was that same type of feeling, electricity. And when I was in school, our saying was, listen, we got 2 games to win this year. We're going to win it all, right? If we beat Miami, we beat Florida State, 9 times out of 10, we're going to have an opportunity to play for the national championship because we're going to destroy everybody else, right? So that was our mindset going into it. Hey, listen, in 1993, Duke got a great program, right? They got a great program now. But just imagine, we got Charlie Ward and we about to play Duke in football. I was like, man, listen. And that was probably my redshirt freshman year. So I'm stretching by the second quarter because I'm expecting to be up by 40 points, where I'm giving me a couple snaps. You know what I'm saying? At that time, I was second team. So I'm like, hey, man, let me get ready to go in the game, coach. You know what I'm saying? We're going to blow this thing out. But then once we knew we got to Florida and Miami, that was going to be that was going to be our season right there, built into that. And then it seemed like we played Nebraska every year in the bowl game. But Nebraska had a big red machine with Tommy Frazier, who was from Florida. Tom Osborne said, I'm going to run the ball, I'm going to run the option, and you're going to stop me. And that's it. Every year, I'm going to run the option, and you're just going to stop me. So, I can't really put into words sometimes just being around in Tallahassee, the atmosphere. Man, I saw that stadium go from a erector set to what it is now, 80,000. When I first started, I think it was around 40 or 50,000. So I've seen the program grow. I've seen, man, Peter Ward was a freshman. Ron Dugans was a freshman. Randy Moss came through there, even though he didn't even play. But, man, Randy Moss was the best basketball player I've seen in my life.
Really?
Randy Moss would practice. Then he'll go to the Lee Center and school everybody. I'm just saying, we would go, that's all we did in the summertime, play basketball in Lee Center. Football team go in there and take it over. And Andre Cooper, Mr. Basketball in Florida, one of the best basketball players I've seen. So, I'm from Virginia. So I've seen a lot of good basketball players and played with a lot of great ones. But, we had definitely some talent, on that basketball court too.
Sean, being from VA, and when you got there and you signed and you committed and you were at Florida State, and you mentioned when you were second team, your redshirt freshman year, and Virginia Tech, we followed the blueprint with the Florida connection, especially during my time at Tech and even after when Mike was there. Did they, because I know how Florida boys think, how did you earn their respect? When did they say, okay, yeah, you from VA, but you right there with us? How did you earn their respect? Because I know how Florida boys think. They think they invented football, but once you come in, you smack them in the mouth or you hold your own, they're like, okay, he's good. Now, because of guys like yourself and so many players the last 30 years, Florida boys know about Virginia, especially at 757. But back then, we had to earn everything. There was no internet, no Twitter, no Instagram, no huddle. So, you had to show during the game. When was that moment you showed and proved when they were like, yo, this guy right here is going to be a special player to a starter and help us win?
Right. Well, I was redshirting, I would get thrown in the mix every now and then with the older guys, and I would always make a play. I would always make – the big thing in Florida is speed. So if you get down there and you can't run with them, you're not going to be respected. Everybody in Florida is fast, and they say people in the muck chasing rabbits. There's a lot of swampland down here. So our boy from Glades County and all that with Wayne Messam, they say they chase rabbits. And I believe them because they fast. Everybody got that first step. So if you can hit, first of all, and then you can run. The key is run. Races, That's what people love it. 4-4, 4-3, 4-5. 4-5 is slow. 4-5 fast some places. Jerry Rice ran 4-5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you get down here, you got 20 cats on the team running 4-3. It's like you consider it slow. So I think just over time that they saw that I could just play football, because we had cats from Texas too. About 3 of them: Todd McIntosh, Ken Alexander, and All-American cornerback Clifton Abraham.
Oh my
what I'm saying?
God.
So they were kind of the outsiders too, because it was only like 3 or 4 cats from Texas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I mean, the Florida rivalry, but I mean, I don't know. You just had to go out and play and just earn your respect. You had to hit people. You had to be able to run. Once you get on that, it's blood, sweat, and tears. Because the thing about it, the coaches don't treat you any different. I don't care where you're from.
Yeah.
Coach Andrew's still gonna yell at you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Coach Amato's still gonna yell at you. They don't care where you're from. So you going through the same. It's almost like a band of brothers, right? Because you going through the same torture. You getting tortured by the coach, no matter where you're from. You getting yelled at. So it's like, man, we got to stick together.
Yes,
And then when I graduated on a Friday or Saturday, I was in Tallahassee the next week.
Really?
In the summer enrichment program. So I had a head start. I got down here with Tamar Vanover, my classmate, Harold Battles, Kamari Charlton, Henry Crockett. So when I got here, I had a good taste of it. We were all freshmen, and it was about 5 or 6 of us all together. So I went into camp when the older guys got here. I already had 5 or 6 friends. So it's kind of easy to make that transition. We all going things same. We were all getting hazed the same by the old people. So we just had to bond together, because knowing one day it would be our turn to haze.
Yeah, man. That just saying those names, hearing you say those names, I remember my dorm room playing on the Sega, and then PlayStation came out. The first PlayStation I played, that's before they called it EA Sports, couldn't get the rights. I played with Tallahassee, and they had Corey Sawyer, Clifton Abraham.
Yeah,
and I remember all those guys. I told you, man. I used to watch all of y'all, man, and it was special, man. I know that's nostalgic for me, and I get excited. But I think when I look and hear you talk, and I remember those games, those rivalries, it is nostalgic for me. It is special, because those guys, to me, Jerry Brooks, man, they cared so much. Not to say the guys now don't, but it just seemed like it was life or death, and they played for something. They knew it was bigger than them. When you think about those games, and I know it's so many, Sean, but like when I remember the game when UVA finally beat y'all, that goal line stand, when Poindexter hit the back. You kept suffering from cramps that night.
He hit Warwick Dunn.
Warwick Dunn on the goal line.
He's still Poindexter. Poindexter's a beast. Unfortunately, his career got cut short because of injury. But I mean, Poindexter was a beast. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
No, it's fine, because that's my guy. AP's my guy. But that was a game I remember watching. That was my redshirt freshman year at Tech. We were watching that game, a bunch of us in my apartment. What games? I know that was years ago, but when you think about some games you remember, like I remember this one game we were playing, Florida, or was it Maryland when you had 2 picks? What's some games?
Well, I always remember the choking dope when Florida had the lead on us at the half, and we came back and tied it up, and then we went on to play them again, in New Orleans. And we beat them. And also the game that always sticks on my mind is a 52-24 ass whipping that we took my senior year in New Orleans and Sugar Bowl by Florida. So the last game.
Why is that?
I had a lot of great victories because, man, the hurts, them shits hurt. When you lose, it hurts me, like to the soul.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Like, so that always sticks in my mind. I can go through every part of that game when it got out of control. I think it was 24-21 at the half. I looked at the scoreboard again. They had 52 points. I said, what happened? But they had a great team. Fred Taylor, Riedel Anthony, Ike Hilliard, Jaquez Green, Heisman Trophy quarterback Danny Wolford. But we had a great team too. We had Renard Wilson, Peter Boulware, rush ends. Listen, work done, of course, but they got us that day, because we beat them the last game of the season in Tallahassee, right? And then I get a call from Derek Brooks. He said, don't be surprised if you see them again. And I was like, man, what you talking about, man? We're going to go play Nebraska. That's who we always play, right? And then I think Nebraska loses to Texas. Florida goes and destroys somebody in the SEC championship. Next thing you know, it's a rematch. I'm like, damn, you done jinxed us, man. I would have had 2 national championships if it wasn't for you. So it's hard to beat a good team twice, So I always take my hats off to them because they came back with a vengeance, and we just fell short that day, and that's the game. I had a lot of great games. All the Miami games were good. Down in the Miami, going to the Orange Bowl, people throwing stuff at your bus, rocking your bus. That was a hostile situation. Notre Dame for national championship when they beat us, and then Boston College beat them the next week, and we went on to win the national championship. And I remember OJ Simpson was on the sideline. That's what I remember about that. OJ Simpson was on the sideline talking about how Derek Brooks couldn't get his shoes right. So Brooks don't like that either. I always tell Brooks that he was on the sideline with them same shoes too. I ain't gonna talk about the case, but he had those same shoes and gloves on. OJ did them loafers. But no, I remember when Muhammad Ali was on the sideline, the Orange Bowl one year. It's just a lot of great games, but the ones that really stick out to me are the ones we lost.
Yeah.
I think I won 52 games and lost 5.
Wow.
I can remember all 5 of the losses because I think 2 of them were to Florida. One of them was to Miami, lost to Virginia. I think that's it. I don't think we lost anybody else.
Nah, because you guys.
No, we lost to Virginia.
You lost to Virginia. That was in '95. It was crazy is you guys entered the ACC and you were so dominant before the ACC got ultra competitive and expanded. You were so dominant, they called it Florida State and the Seven Dwarfs. That's how, because y'all came in like gangbusters. I mean, y'all were winning and dominating. Y'all were destroying teams like Maryland and Duke and Wake Forest. I mean,
that was our first loss. Virginia was our first loss.
I know. ACC, I remember in '95, and it was.
That was like playing ACC was a guaranteed ring each year. That's before they had, it was only 8 teams. We had to beat 8 teams. We had an 8-game warm up. Now, no disrespect to the ACC, but they just were not that good when we first entered. Right? They were not a football conference. SEC, everybody's like, why is Florida State not going to the SEC where everybody playing football? Blah blah blah. Okay, we went to the ACC, but I think Florida State made the ACC better. You know why? Because it way to recruit Florida. The people who didn't go to Florida State, Florida, Miami, Wake Forest. Now you see Wake Forest team is full of people from Florida. All these other teams, North Carolina. They were able to keep their great talent in, but also they were able to tap into that market. Down to Florida, because a lot of people they didn't go to Florida State and Florida, they'd be mad. Right? So they ain't offer me, so I'm gonna go to a school against them. That's just that pride the Florida football player has. I'm gonna go to a team where I can beat Florida State.
No
you know what I'm saying? And everybody got competitive. But the thing, when Virginia beat us, they was all homegrown though. Them boys, Tiki, Rondé, they were all,
Paul London was on that team.
Paul London.
The Percy Ellsworth.
Ellsworth's on that team. He's from Brown away.
Yep.
I don't know Paul London. Was Paul London on that team?
Yeah, Paul London, because in '95 we beat UVA. That was Paul London was on that team. And Percy, they had the Ferrier brother. UVA, I've always said that was UVA's best team. That team.
UVA best team was when they had Sean Moore and Herman Moore.
You think so? With Kirby and them?
Number 1. They were number 1.
That '95 team, and this is my opinion, that '95 team that beat y'all was so good. I mean, they just if they beat us, they go on and play for a BCS bowl, a huge bowl. But
they had some that was a good team.
Yeah.
So I think Jermaine Crowe was on that. Was he on that team?
Yes. And Anthony Poindexter.
And Poindexter. Poindexter was young then. I think Poindexter might have been a freshman or sophomore.
He was a freshman. He was a redshirt freshman.
He was slim. They didn't know what to do with him. They didn't know he was a linebacker. If he was a safety, he was just a playmaker, right? So I was like, man, who was a 185-pound cat running around like this? But they put him in the right position. They put him in. I don't know who the D coordinator was at that time, but he used him. And then he came back next year, put on some weight, got in the weight room. I said, okay, Poindexter out for it.
he was special, man. And when you let me ask you this, Sean, because you and I go back, and then I see you on social media, and you love your school. You love Florida State.
Right.
And I see your comments, and you don't hold back because you were there during the heyday, and you understand things change, coaching's change. You have been an outspoken fan. You love your school. You cheer for them. You make time to watch them on the weekends.
Right.
But they've fallen on hard times. It's transition. A lot of times it happens, but they still have tons of talent. What do you think is going on right now? Like, do you think it's just a matter of them getting back to understanding what it means to be a Seminole, or is it just they're young, or is it just, a rebuilding process? What are your thoughts on the Florida State program now?
I think it's culture. I think it's kind of in disarray, and it comes down from the top, all the way from the administration, down and bleeds into the football team, and then bleeds into the players, because they don't believe, they can't believe in a coach who the administration doesn't believe in them. You know what I'm saying? So it's culturally, and the one thing I hate when people say the old players need to come back and talk to them. About what? What I'm gonna talk to him about? What I did in 1995 when I played. I didn't need somebody from 1965 telling me how to play and go out and fight for my brother. You know what I'm saying? We fought for each other. But the thing about it, at Burt Reynolds, we lived together. We ate together. You know, we went to class together. You know, these cats, I think I don't know. They're younger than me. The younger generation, I think, is a little bit different anyway. But it just seems to be a disconnect, and they need a quarterback. And I think they got Travis is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? You can't build a team without a quarterback, right? And I think he has confidence. He's definitely taking a beating, you know, being a running quarterback, but he leading them, you know, I think in the right direction. And, you know, I think it's just been a lot of turmoil. And I think the culture as itself just hasn't been there yet. So, you know, they need to rebuild the culture, start back winning. Winning covers up a lot of things.
Yes,
right?
it does.
You know, and then when you win, you get breaks. You know, the ball fumbles your way.
Yep.
You get a couple of pick sixes, you get a couple of blocks here and there. But when you bad, you don't get any breaks. And everything is magnified and it makes it look like you're not getting effort. I think the boys are out there getting effort. It's just got to get back to the basics. Tackle. First, learn how to tackle. Tackle. Catch the ball. You know what I'm saying? We do all these gimmicks, just run the ball, you know. So, but I think hopefully Coach Norvell, you know, has them going in the right direction. But I mean, they not playing in the 90s. Football is different.
Yes,
you know,
it's
a different. I think it's a different breed of athlete. You know, I think they're very intelligent athletes, but we were just tough and raw. You know what I'm saying? Like we go every day, we fighting each other. I don't even know if they fight each other. I saw some of the fights on the practice field at Florida State. We'd be fighting one minute, we'd be in the back in the dining hall the next minute telling jokes. You know what I'm saying? Because when we on that field, I mean, we had literally had to sometimes to stop practice 2-a-days because the offense was not our friend. Warwick Dunn was not my teammate in 2-a-days. But you better not touch him because you might get sent on the bus home. Charlie Ward was my teammate, but you better not touch him because you might not have a scholarship no more. So, you know, we used to battle, man. The offensive line, defensive line, they would battle. And then when 2 days are over, okay, we can be friends except for Tuesdays because that's when it's full pads and nobody wants to be in full pad. So we're just going to beat each other up for a day. And then we'd be friends on Wednesday.
you mentioned Charlie Ward. And again,
yes, sir.
It's just amazing, man, you know, because, you know, you talk about the guys you have now, even the guys before the guys you have now, you know, Michael Vicks of the world. Now you have Russell Wilson and all these great guys. They call them dual threat quarterbacks. Charlie Ward was special. And he actually, I heard Bobby Bowden talk about how Charlie Ward made him adjust his offense to the point they went up tempo because he didn't want to hold Charlie Ward back. And he won the Heisman. And he was just so fun to watch. But the quarterback position wasn't embraced for guys like him like it is now. They were talking about him playing receiver or safety. So he ended up playing for the Knicks, still had a great pro career, man. What are your thoughts about Charlie Ward? I know for you it's personal, but when you remember playing with him and, you know, we can't always do hypotheticals, but if he played now, or what's your thoughts about when you hear the name Charlie Ward, man?
Charlie Ward, first of all, just a great human being. I mean, that's probably the nicest person you'll ever meet in your life. He remembers everybody. He knows your name. I can go up and talk to Charlie Ward right now. And like I said, he won the Heisman, played for the Knicks. But do you see him? You're like, man, that's just a regular guy. You know what I'm saying? But Charlie, because, you know, historically, Florida State was our formation. Casey Weldon, Brad Johnson, running backs, hand the ball off, throw it to tight end, had big receivers on the outside. We were losing to Georgia Tech, right? And so Brad Scott was like, hey, man, and Brad Scott and Mark Ritt, actually, because Mark Ritt was a quarterback coach at the time. You know, we need to get Charlie. We need to use his athleticism, right? Put him in the shotgun, give him 4 receivers. All they running ins and outs, easy reads for him, right? And if it's breakdown, Charlie run. You know what I'm saying? you know. So the rest is history. But I think he definitely helped pave the way for the quarterbacks now. And I mean, who doesn't want a mobile quarterback? I can't understand why anybody want somebody like Lamar Jackson. I would love to have Lamar Jackson because he can throw, he can do. And Michael Vick. I mean, after Michael Vick, everybody should have went out and got an African-American quarterback that could run. He broke the mold. The human joystick. I mean, what after CNS, like, man, how you going to ever doubt a quarterback because they can run? You want them to run.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If the pocket breaks down, there's nothing worse that here's the defense than a quarterback that's mobile. You know, so, man, playing with Charlie, man, and now Charlie's like an ambassador to Florida State, and he's always positive. You know, I'm a negative. I'm like, hey, man, I'm telling like it is. I got some other teammates, you know, they stink. I don't know what they're doing. This is awful. Charlie was like, well, we one play away. Like, all right, man. Okay, Charlie, you're right. And then as soon as Charlie said, hey, listen, as soon as Charlie says it, you like, man, you know what?
Yeah.
Charlie Ward said it, so it must be right. Yeah, but C. Ward does a great individual, man. He's just a great citizen.
Yeah.
So if he's running for president, I'll vote for him.
Absolutely. You mentioned a great person. So somebody very close to me, excuse me, is very close to you that we both love. For you, he's family by blood, but for me, he's family, and that's Adolph Hawkins.
Right.
I had the very fortunate opportunity to play with you for 2 years. And then I played 1 year with Ahmad, his freshman year, my senior year, but he was so dynamic. Coaches got him on the field, and like you and Eric Hunter, he wore that number 9. Ahmad and I, we call him Ball Hawk or Hawk. We've had some long conversations. Me and him are both in the media, and we both run our mouths for a living. But we have grown close even since our days in Hampton High. He talks so fondly of you, and me and him talk so much about life in general and just sports. When you think about him and the influence you had on him, and when you see all the things he's doing now, what comes to mind? Like, how do you feel about? I know he's family, but are you impressed with all the things he's doing, all the opportunities?
Of course, I'm definitely proud of him, and I'm an only child, and Ahmad was too. So his father and my mother are brother and sister, so we grew up like brothers. Essentially, he is my little brother. Right. So even when he played at UVA, he had a picture of me in a Florida State uniform in his locker. And I was like, man, I don't know how you getting away with that. But, in the first bowl ring I gave one to my first ACC ring I gave to him, or the second one. But I gave him a ring and I gave my uncle a ring. You know what I'm saying? Because of my uncle, where I was, how I got there because of him. Right. And then my little cousin, I was so proud of him for what his accomplishments and what he's done. He's a great father. He's created a brand for himself. He was a great athlete, both high school, college, and professionally.
Yep.
So he's doing everything well, and I think he's just become. I keep using this word, great citizen, because I don't think we have enough good citizens out there, and people just need to be good citizens. To each other. So I can't be any prouder than I am of him, his beautiful family, beautiful wife and kids. And he just makes me proud, because he like my little brother. You know what I'm saying? So if he was out doing bad, I would just have to go find him and beat him up. That's just what it is. I mean, that's how we grew up. He was looking at me, so I was like, hey man, one thing you're not gonna be is a punk. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You're gonna get punched in the chest, you're gonna get tackled. But by the time you get to where you need to go, of course he can do it as a freshman. Because I already been beating him up, as a little kid. So by the time he got there, he's already tough. He hadn't seen it, and I say beating up as a,
I know. We all know. Yeah, no,
I say that affectionately, of course, because I just want to make sure that he was prepared, and also I kind of want to set a good example that listen, you can go somewhere, you can get out of Newport News, you can get out of Hampton, you can go, experience life, but college is the way to do it. No matter what college you go to college, man. Experience life, meet people from different places. It's a lot more to life than our bubble right here in Hampton Roads is great, but it's a lot more that life has to offer. So I want to definitely make sure he had that opportunity. He chose to go to UVA, which is a great school.
Absolutely.
UVA is a great school, so he got a degree from UVA. That goes a long way,
Yes, yeah.
So that's the key, getting a degree too. So many people don't get degrees, and I didn't know anything about coming to college with credits. From high school and all that. I was like, what credits? What you mean you're a junior? You just got here. Tell me about that. But even if they told me, I probably still wouldn't have did nothing with it because I was a knucklehead. You know what I'm saying? I did enough to get a scholarship, enough to get into school, always just enough. So, in my adult life, I try to change that around a little bit.
No doubt. And Sean, so you mentioned your adult life. So after Florida State, the national championships, ACC championships, Charlie Ward, Derrick Brooks, Vanover, all those great players, those great memories. What happened then? You left Florida State. Was it the NFL? Was it Arena? What happened after Florida State?
Well, I didn't get drafted, which was probably, most humbling day of my life, because it's like, for so long in your career, you've been top, you've been a top, even if you weren't the top guy, you've been a top elite, in the tier of athletes, so to get to the pros, and then it's like, just watching people get drafted, like, man, how that kid get drafted? I know him, he's terrible. What I'm saying? Then at the end of the day, my name don't even call. Maybe I'm just not the right fit. So, I went off to San Diego for training camp. bounced around a couple of training camps, just didn't make it. Played a little arena football. Then I was fortunate enough to, I just started doing real estate, actually. I got it, I didn't think I was going to be the career chasing the dream guy. At some point it was going to be time for me to go out and get a job and start making money. There's other ways. I enjoyed the playing. I enjoyed the friendships created along the way. And I kept those friendships, but now it's time to go in another direction.
And in that direction, you real estate. But I remember, and this is crazy because I was back home. I remember, actually, I was in Florida. Then I saw it again back home. I'm watching the movie, and I said, "Is that Sean?" I'm watching the movie, and then the boys back home, Eric Brown and all them, everybody back home, he said, "No, that is Sean, man. That's him." You were in Any Given Sunday, man.
Right.
How in the world did you get in the big screen? How did you get into movies, man?
Well, I had a teammate of mine, Cornell Spain. He was already down in Miami doing it. He filmed in Miami.
Yep.
Right. And he was already down there doing it. I was in Tampa. I don't know. I was probably just hanging out. I was at probably a Buck game, hanging out with Brooks. And he called me and said, "Man, you need to come down here and get some of this money." I was like, "Man, what you talking about?" He said, "We doing this movie. They paying us like $2,000 a week. And sometimes you don't even leave the locker room." I said, "Okay, so how I sign up?" He said, "I'm gonna talk to him for you." So, okay. So I left Tampa, drove down to Miami, talked to the guy, Coach, I think his name was Coach Graff, and Steve Ellis, I think is his name. And they were like, "Okay, let's sign you up, ready to go." And what it was a bunch of former players, but the majority of players down there were from the Arena Football League, because Cornell was playing Arena Football League at the time. And they just took a bunch of former players, and they took a bunch of players, from the Arena Football League down there. So Mazio Royce, so you remember that cat from USC?
Yes.
Mazio, because he was Bill Bellamy's stunt double.
Oh, was he?
So yeah, Mazio Royce. So I get down there, I'm like, there's some cats down here with some names. I can't remember a couple of them on the back of my head, but yeah, and that's just how I got involved. And then from that movie, the next one was with Keanu Reeves. What was that movie called? The Replacements.
Oh yes,
right? So the same production company
and all of them. Yeah.
Right. So 2 months after that, we wrapped in Dallas for Any Given Sunday. 2 months later, say, "Hey, we're doing another movie in Baltimore. You want to come up here?" It's like, "Yeah, man, I ain't really doing nothing. So let me go, let me go make this quick, easy money for a year." And then after that, I just kind of went into business.
Yeah. So
but that was fun, though. That was a great experience. Jamie Foxx, LL, and them cats they down to earth people just like everybody else.
I know.
Dennis Quaid, they talk to you, "Hey man, what's going on?" Bill Bellamy. It's kind of like T.O. was out there, because T.O. at the time was playing in San Francisco with William Floyd, who was a good friend of mine. So, we kind of had that connection. It's amazing.
And William Floyd's your frat brother.
Right. William Floyd's my frat brother. So it's amazing the many places I've been. I always seem to have a connection, with somebody. So what I do right now is I'm with a direct operations for Kalo Restaurant Group. And the owner of the company is Angelo Crowell and Kim Crowell. So Angelo Crowell played at UVA, and Kim was a cheerleader. So, and I played against his brother Jermaine, and him and Hawk knew each other from UVA, and he's living in Tallahassee. So, we chopped it up on the golf course, and now we've been working together for 7 years. You know what I'm saying? So, God works in mysterious ways, man. I truly have been blessed for the people that have been in my life.
Yeah, you have, and we all have. And I do want to ask you this question. I meant to ask you earlier because I've never got a chance to ask you this about. I'm going to take it back to high school because we talked about your college career, but I do and again, you may not be able to answer this, but there's always a debate. And I always love your insight, especially when I was a youngin', hearing you and Mario and everybody argue about basketball and football. But when it comes to VA greats, we talked about quarterbacks. Let's keep it to the 757. You got Gerard Kroom, Eric Hunter, Michael Vick, Tyrod Taylor, Aaron Brooks, Allen Iverson. You can name them, anybody. And I apologize if I forget somebody, man. But when it comes to when you talking about quarterbacks, not like athletes, do you go with Eric Hunter, Ronald Curry, Iverson, Aaron Brooks? Who are you going with?
I'm going with Michael Vick.
Really? Over Ronald Curry? I'm talking on the high school level, Sean.
Oh, on the high school level.
High school level. High school level.
Oh yeah, Ronald Curry is the best high school football player. Quarterback to come out there. That's just the way it is. I mean, that dude was remarkable on the field. Hey, Allen Iverson was great, right? He was elusive. He was a great football player. But man, Chuck made his name on the basketball court. You know, I remember playing against him and Tony Rellan. They had 5 guards. You know, that's all they did was run. I mean, we beat them, but we had to score 150 points, and they scored 140. They ain't play no defense. All they did was run down the court and shoot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, but then Aaron Brooks, man, Aaron Brooks probably had the strongest arm. You know, I've seen any quarterback coming along. Eric Hunter had a strong arm too. You know what I'm saying? But Aaron Brooks, man, was a phenomenal pitcher. That's what people don't realize. My Uncle Hawk used to, Adolph Sr., I guess you call him. We got 2 Hawks now.
Yeah.
My granddaddy was a Hawk too. But he's a coach him in baseball. You know what I'm saying? So he was a phenomenal pitcher. But I think the overall quarterback, you know, in that area, I mean, you can't go wrong, Ronald Curry. I mean, he did it. He did it right. You know, he was a combination of everybody. You know, put together and mixed up. You know, he had a strong arm. He definitely was elusive. You know, he did pretty much everything well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I just wanted your insight because you were gone, and then I always wondered what you thought because when we had those conversations on social media, you don't ever chime in, but I wonder what Sean thinks, man, because you had the insight and privilege of being around the OGs with Eric and all them and Derek Kroom, and then you came along and you saw Ahmad and them win the state championships. I wonder who he thought was that dude, because that's
Eric and them, he only played. Eric played, I don't even know if he played safety or not. Usually a quarterback plays safety in high school for some reason. That was just like the quarterback on the field, what they say. So, but I think, he just took it to another level, Ronald Curry. So I wish he would have, I think he made a good choice going to UNC. He got to play both, sports. But I think I would have rather him go somewhere where they could develop him. That's the thing about, I think, mobile quarterbacks is that sometimes the college coaches just don't develop them. You know what I'm saying? Like Louisville did not develop Lamar.
No.
Lamar developed when he got to Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't developed in Louisville. He was just probably the best athlete on the field. You know what I'm saying? At the time when he won the Heisman, he was the best athlete on the field. When he got to the pros, though, somebody said, okay, well, let me give him some mechanics. You know what I'm saying? Let me just not use his legs because he's going to be super deadly, if he can throw the ball. You know, so. Yeah,
no doubt, man. Well, Sean, this has been a lot of fun, man. I'm at the point of the show where I let my guests give their final thoughts, man. Like I told you, man, I was your teammate, but I was also a fan.
Right.
And this has been a blessing just reminiscing and reflecting on your great and dynamic career, man. You're a father now. You're a businessman. You had a blessed career. You recognize that God has ordered your steps. You recognize your family. The last part of the interview, I want you just to share your final thoughts on what your career and the life lessons, your failures and your success has taught you as a man. And what would you tell the next Sean Hamlet's coming up? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would give them the advice is never give up. Everything must come to an end, and it's never too late. It's never too late to chase your dreams. If you have something you haven't done right now, the hardest part about chasing your dreams is starting to chase them. Putting that first foot forward and saying you can, as opposed to saying you can't, or making excuses for it, or I don't have time. You got time. Everybody got time. You can't take 5 minutes out of the day to work on your dreams, then something's wrong, right? So enjoy your time, enjoy your family, tell your mama you love her every time you get to see her, enjoy your kids. That's one thing I think, we don't say to each other too, I love you, you my brother.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So I tell my teammates all the time, hey, I love you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to wait till you're not here no more and then say, man, I wish I told that guy I love him, because I do. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no, that's probably the most manly thing that anybody could do is to tell their friend they love them. So hey man, this was great, man. I appreciate you having me on here. This was fun. Get a chance to talk about the VA. I talk about it all the time down in Florida because I tell people, and people look at me like I'm crazy. And I tell them I played against Grant Hill in high school. I say, man, look at the tape. It's on Facebook now. You on Facebook all the time. Look, I played against Allen Iverson. Yeah, I know him. I know him. Yeah, we grew up together. You know what I'm saying? So it's good, brother. Hey man, I'm proud of you, man. Keep doing your thing, boy.
I appreciate you.
Keep supporting you.
Yeah,
I can take a couple of more shirts too if you got
Okay, I got you.
I need a purple and gold shirt.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Out there.
Yeah. You sound like my dad. I gotta get you some.
I said, what's up, Q?
I will, man. He's gonna be so happy, man. He still talks about Sean Hamlet and that interception in the regional final. That's why I posted it for my dad, man. That was crazy, man. But this has been great, man. Sean, I got you, and I'm gonna get those shirts. But like I say, every episode to all the supporters of Vicktory Life, Sean Hamlet supporters and families and everybody that is about positivity. Make sure no matter what you do, no matter where you go, make sure you have a positive impact and you leave a great legacy. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it, man.
All right, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.